How to become the 1% of people who control the world. 99% of people live by the rules, while 1% write the rules. And the question you need to ask yourself is simple. Which side are you on? Most people think control is about money, politics, or having connections. But the truth is, the real control is psychological. The 1% don't wait for permission. They don't sit around hoping someone gives them a chance. They choose themselves and create their own path. That's why they move the world, while everyone else just reacts to it. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to stop living. Like the 99% who are stuck on autopilot and start thinking. Like the few who quietly pull the strings. Most people live their entire lives on autopilot. Wake up, go to work, pay the bills, repeat until the years blur together. From childhood, they've been trained to obey systems someone else built for them. Sit in rows, raise your hand, wait for permission, do as you're told. And without ever questioning it, they carry those same habits into adulthood. They spend their lives consuming instead of creating, reacting instead of commanding, waiting for opportunities instead of building them. This is why the majority feel stuck. They've been programmed to play inside boundaries they didn't even draw. The truth is, the world isn't controlled by luck or chance. It's controlled by design. Every structure you see, banks, schools, media, even the way you measure success, was designed by someone who understood the rules of power before you did. And here's the hard truth. If you're not designing your life, someone else is designing it for you. You either become the architect, or you stay the brick in someone else's wall. The difference between the 99% and the 1% comes down to mindset. And it's this simple. Ownership is greater than obedience. The majority are trained to obey. They take orders, follow directions, and wait for instructions before they move. The 1% think differently. They see rules as suggestions, not cages. They treat systems as tools to be used, not masters to be served. Where most people see problems and back away, the 1% see opportunities to build, to innovate, to dominate. That's why they stand out. They're not looking for permission. They're looking for leverage. Even scripture makes the contrast clear. The borrower is slave to the lender. In other words, if you spend your life waiting, borrowing, or depending on someone else's system, you've already surrendered your authority. Real power flows to the ones who decide, not the ones who hesitate. And psychology confirms the same truth. Napoleon Hill called it definiteness of purpose. He found that the wealthiest and most powerful men of his time all had one trait in common. They knew exactly what they wanted, with absolute clarity, while the masses dabbled, tried a little of everything, and never committed fully. That's the shift. Until you stop living like an obedient follower and start thinking like an owner with purpose, the world will keep managing you instead of you managing it. How to practice ownership like the 1%. The 1% don't stumble into power. They practice it step by step. The first step is command clarity. Most people are vague. They say things like, I want success, or I want freedom. But the 1% write down exactly what that looks like in numbers, in deadlines, in details. They know the exact amount they want to earn, the exact position they want to hold, the exact impact they plan to create. That level of precision doesn't just focus the mind. It forces the universe and other people to respond. The second step is emotional alignment. Once they've written the command, They begin to act, think, and feel as though it's already their reality. They walk differently, they speak differently, they make choices from the perspective of someone who has already arrived. This isn't delusion, it's authority. Because if you don't believe your own command, why would the world? The third step is breaking resistance. Doubt is the silent killer that keeps 99% trapped, but the 1% defeat it by stacking proof. They create small daily wins that silence the inner voice saying, "You can't." Each win builds momentum until doubt becomes too expensive to maintain. And the final step is cosmic pressure. The 1% don't just chase goals for comfort or status, they tie their outcomes to something bigger. Whether it's God, purpose, or destiny, they anchor their authority to a higher calling. That pressure makes quitting impossible because it's no longer about them, it's about the mission. Put these 4 steps together: clarity, alignment, resistance breaking, and higher pressure. And you have the formula that separates the 1% from the rest. Rockefeller didn't just control oil, he controlled the systems around oil: railroads, pipelines, distribution. That's why he became untouchable. Steve Jobs had what people called a reality distortion field. He decided something was possible, even when the experts said it wasn't, and somehow it became real. The iPhone is proof of that. And then there's Joseph in the Bible. He went from being a forgotten slave in prison to the second most powerful man in Egypt, not because he begged for a chance, but because he interpreted dreams with authority and confidence. He acted like someone already appointed before the position was ever offered. That's the pattern. The 99% follow blindly, obey rules, and wait for someone to choose them. The 1% bend reality to their decisions, and the world rearranges itself around them. Power always exposes the truth about a person. If you step into authority without purpose, without a foundation, that power won't save you. It will break you. History is filled with leaders who rose quickly, but collapsed just as fast. Not because they lacked intelligence or opportunity, but because they lacked integrity. The world handed them influence, money, or control, and instead of building with it, they self-destructed under the weight of their own flaws. That's because power doesn't fix your character, it multiplies it. If you're disciplined, power will magnify that discipline. If you're greedy, power will magnify that greed. If you're wise, it will make you even more effective. But if you're reckless, arrogant, or insecure, the same power will amplify those weaknesses until they destroy you. Think of it this way. If you're unprepared, what you control will eventually control you. Wealth can end up owning the person who never learned how to manage it. Influence can corrupt someone who only wanted applause. Leadership can crush someone who never learned to serve before they commanded. Authority is not a magic trick. It's a mirror. It shows the world who you already are, only louder. That's why the warning is simple. Don't just chase power. Build the kind of character that can carry it, because becoming the 1% is not only about gaining control. It's about becoming the kind of person who can keep it without falling apart. So now the choice is in front of you. You can keep living like the 99%, following the rules, staying on autopilot, waiting for permission. Or you can step into the mindset of the 1%, the ones who design, decide, and direct the world instead of being directed by it. And it doesn't start with something complicated. It starts with one command. Write it down today. One clear, bold decision, about what you want your life to look like, and then begin acting as if it's already set in motion. That single step separates the masses from the few. The world doesn't bend to hope, it bends to clarity. It doesn't respond to hesitation, it responds to authority. And if you're ready to stop waiting and start commanding your reality, then stay with me, because this is just the beginning. Subscribe, because in the videos ahead, I'm going to keep showing you exactly how to think, act, and live like the 1% who control the world.